It's the Roy Rogers Show.
Happy trails to you. It's nice to meet again. Happy trails to you until the journey's end.
Close Grape Nuts Flakes, the great 2-minute energy cereal, brings you the Roy Rogers Show, transcribed on the Double R Bar Ranch, with Pat Brady and the Queen of the West, Dale Evans.
Happy trails to you. Time to ride again.
And here he is, in person, the King of the Cowboys, Roy Rogers.
Well, howdy, folks. You know, being a cowboy, you need lots of energy. That's why Grape Nuts Flakes is the cereal I like for strength and energy. Just 2 minutes after you eat a big bowl full, that whole wheat energy starts going to work for you. Try Grape Nuts Flakes, buckaroos. They're great.
Paul Roberts, 75 years old, but still erect as a western pine, is the richest rancher in Paradise Valley. Stern, reserved, taciturn, Roberts is admired by his neighbors for his unfailing honesty. But today the old pioneer has dropped his reserve, for the noon bus has brought to Mineral City someone Roberts has not seen for 14 years. And now in the Eureka Cafe...
Hey, Lefty, when you used to toss the ball around in our sandlot games, we all knew you were good, but we never figured one of our local boys would get up to the big leagues.
Well, it was just a means to an end, Roy. I couldn't have finished my medical education without the help baseball gave me.
And to think that I objected to your career. I think we parted over it. I'll never forgive myself, son.
That's all forgotten now, Dad. I've come back to the Saddle Rock spread, and this is where I'm going to stay.
Well, I think it's just wonderful for both of you. You've earned a rest, Mr. Roberts, after building the Saddle Rock up to the wonderful ranch it is. And if Dr. Roberts has any time left over, well, another doctor's always welcome in Paradise Valley.
Oh, I'm going to give up medicine entirely.
What?
You bet, Roy. Dad's ranch will keep me plenty busy.
Not my ranch, son. Yours. And we'd better leave now and go to the bank and to the lawyers. When you ride through the gates of the Saddle Rock this afternoon, I want it to be legally yours.
Well, that's fine, Dad. Deep down in my heart, I've always wanted the place. Well, who's the cowhand in the beat-up Jeep?
Well, that's Pat Brady, Lefty. You remember him, don't you?
Oh, Pat Brady. Sure. I guess I was a little younger than his crowd.
Pat's my waiter and Roy's right-hand man now. That is, when he can take the time away from his Jeep.
Well, I declare, Nellie Bell seemed perfectly all right when we started out, but when we got to that hill on the other side of the... Oh, hello, Mr. Roberts. Hi, Dale.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat. Pat, this is Dr. Roberts, Mr. Roberts' son. You remember him, don't you?
No, I don't believe I've had the pleasure. How do you do, Dr. Roberts?
Pat, he's Lefty Roberts.
Lefty Roberts?
Yes.
Well, Lefty, you old son of a gun. Well, how are you? Well, I'll declare, you ain't changed a bit since you was a kid in knee pants.
Nice to see you again, Pat.
Lefty Roberts. Well, I never left the radio all the time you was a-pitching in the big leagues. How come you quit? You're still young and you look awful big and strong.
My son used baseball as a stepping stone to a medical career, Pat. Oh, I'm mighty proud of him.
Well, that sure isn't hard to see.
You mean you're a doctor now, Lefty? Well, by golly, I wish you could do something about Nellie Bell's cough.
Well, I've given up medicine, but I might be able to give you a prescription for that Jeep. Do you have a pencil and paper, Miss Evans?
Sure. Here you are.
And then we've got to be running along, son.
Be right with you, Dad. There you are, Pat. This prescription should fix your Nellie Bell.
Well, gosh, thanks, Doc. Lefty. Doc.
Hey, come out to the ranch and see us sometime soon, folks.
Oh, thanks. Say, Lefty, we're starting the annual fall cattle drive to Turnbull City day after tomorrow. Maybe you'd like to ride along with us.
Well, I may be pretty busy for a few days, but, well, we'll see. So long, all of you.
Goodbye,
So long.
Hi.
Lefty Roberts.
He was quite a ball player. Strange that he's given up medicine, though.
Yes, it is. Say, what does Nellie Bell's prescription say, Pat?
Oh, yeah, the prescription. Say, wasn't that nice of him? Let's see now. Run the heap of junk over the steepest cliff you can find. Well, how do you like that? Of all the fresh guys.
Remember, son, the ranch is yours now. Lock, stock, and barrel, and you're the boss. You run things just as you see fit.
Well, that's swell, Dad. I'm glad to take the load off your shoulders. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to ask you before you go to bed.
Yeah?
Roger said this afternoon that the ranchers were making the fall drive to Terminal City day after tomorrow.
That's right. And if you remember, it's quite a sight. Sometimes there's as many as 5,000 head in all.
Yeah, I remember. How much are you charging them to ford the river and drive their stock across the ranch these days, Dad?
Why, son, they don't use the Saddle Rock shortcut anymore. Oh, the ranchers got together 5-6 years ago and put in a big wooden bridge across the river 4 miles up.
Yeah?
Oh, yes, it saves them a lot of time and gets the cattle to Terminal City probably 5 pounds heavier per critter.
Well, then, we lose quite a nice piece of revenue, don't we?
Why, no, son. No, I used to charge the drovers just what I figured was the actual damage to the range as they crossed over. Maybe $1 a head.
But, Dad, you could have made real money. If they hadn't been able to use the ford, they would have had to go clear up through Comanche Pass. It'd have taken them 4 or 5 days, wouldn't it?
Yes, and they would have lost a lot of cattle besides taking weight off them.
Well, I was just wondering. That bridge sounds like a good idea, though. I'll have to ride past it when I go into Terminal City tomorrow.
Oh, do you have to go into town tomorrow, son?
Yes, there are several matters I have to attend to in a hurry.
If that's the way you want it, I'm sure I have a buyer for you, Dr. Roberts.
Sure. I don't mind taking a loss as long as it's strictly a cash deal.
Saddle Rock's a mighty valuable piece of property.
Well, Dad's tired of it, and I wasn't cut out to be a rancher. You see that the buyer has the cash here day after tomorrow, and I'll be in to transfer the papers. Of course, it's a lot of dynamite. I don't see that it's any of your business as long as I'm paying for it.
I was only wondering, mister.
Well, if you must know, I'm the foreman of a construction crew that's heading for a job south of the border. I'll have to do a lot of blasting. Now, whoa there, boy. Whoa. Steady now, you big bruiser. This won't take me long. This seems to be the main beam. Set one charge here. And one on the other side. There. So we'll just light this one. And this one. Oh, come on, you. Up now, boy, up. Off this bridge if you know what's good for both of us. All right, keep going. Those timbers will spray like matches in a hurricane. There. That does it. Now we'll see if these yokels can get their 5,000 cattle to Terminal City without using my ford and crossing my ranch. At $50 a head, that's $250,000 that I hadn't even counted on.
Well, this adventure's mighty exciting, hey, listeners? And here's something every bit as exciting. The new Roy Rogers King of the Cowboys pop-out trading cards, offered you by Post Cereals, free of extra cost. There are 36 different pictures in this wonderful series. Real-life pictures of Roy, Dale, Trigger, Bullet, and Pat in exciting action. And here's why these cards are so extra special. You see, the main part of each picture pops right out, easy as you please. You have lifelike two-dimensional figures that stand up by themselves. Great for decorating your room or club headquarters. And don't forget, you send no box tops, no money. These Roy Rogers cards are free of extra cost. At your grocer's, just look for the trading card packages of these famous Post cereals. Crinkles, Raisin Bran, Grape Nuts Flakes, Bran Flakes, Sugar Crisp, and Post Toasties. Each package brings you one of these wonderful cards. Imagine the terrific display you'll have with all 36. So hurry. Be the first in your gang to get your Roy Rogers King of the Cowboys pop-out trading cards. Get a good supply of your favorite Post cereals tomorrow and start collecting and swapping your Roy Rogers cards right away.
You'll have to take your herd across at the Saddle Rock Ford, Fred. It'll take weeks to build this bridge again.
It certainly is a mess, isn't it, Roy? How could it just cave in the night?
I don't think it caved in, Dale. I think it was dynamite.
Oh, who would do a thing like that?
Well, it's hard to tell. Can't see that anyone has anything to gain by it.
Well, it's lucky you discovered it early, Roy. By this time, your hand should have the Double R bar herd over the ford and crossing the Saddle Rock spread.
Yeah, I hope Pat and Nellie Bell are spreading the word fast enough so that the other herds don't pile up anywhere.
Hey, Roy! Dale! There's trouble ahead! Whoa, Nellie Bell!
Hey, Pat! What are you and Bullet so excited about? Quiet there, Bullet.
Oh, boy, I'm upset. Bullet's upset. And we got reason to be. You know, there must be 2,000 head of cattle waiting on this side of the ford, and Lefty Roberts won't let 'em cross.
What's this?
Well, the ranchers have offered to pay 'em for crossing like they used to, haven't they?
Listen, they didn't even get a chance to offer. Lefty beat 'em to the punch, and he wants $50 a head.
$50 a head?
Why, that's ridiculous. There's not that much profit in a steer.
Pat, you're sure Lefty isn't just kidding?
He may be kidding, but he's got 4 or 5 men armed with rifles backing him up.
We'd better get up there pronto and see if we can straighten out the trouble.
You know, the cattle is awful restless and the ranchers is awful mad. You know, they're talking about shooting it out with Lefty's men and going through anyway.
Oh, no, we can't let that happen.
No, shooting wouldn't solve anything. If Lefty Roberts doesn't know any more about the code of the West than to try to take advantage of his neighbors, well, we'll just have to explain things to him. Well, I'm going to handle Lefty a little differently this time. There's something I want to find out.
I can't imagine that a nice old gentleman like Mr. Roberts could have a son as mean as Lefty.
That's just what I can't imagine.
Hey, look at the way he's got them armed muzzlers strung around here.
Yeah.
Well, Lefty's coming out to meet us again.
Yeah, he sure ain't gonna let us talk to his dad.
Oh, whoa there, you. Well, what about it, Rogers? Your friends decide to meet my price?
No, Lefty, we can't do it. We all stand to lose money, and we count on this fall's market to keep us going all winter.
All right, then. Take your steers over the mountains or let them try to swim where the bridge fell down. It'll cost you $50 a head to cross here, and that's an ultimatum.
Well, I'm delivering the ultimatum this time, Lefty. We'll give you $5 a head, and we start crossing in the morning.
Is that so?
You don't want to risk gunplay, do you?
If the ranchers want to shoot it out with my guards, it's all right with me.
You're making yourself mighty unpopular in these parts.
The more I see of these parts, the less they interest me. But while I'm here, the law's on my side.
You know, in this case, Lefty, I'm just liable to take the law in my own hands. You'd better change your tune and change it fast.
Don't reach for that gun, Rogers.
Look out, Roy!
Roy, what are you...
Because you're covered.
Well, so I am.
I thought you were supposed to be so fast on the draw. Well, I could have drilled you 3 times before you stopped fumbling with your holsters. Now, suppose you get back across the river where you belong.
All right, Lefty. If that's the way you want it. Come on, Pat, Dale.
That was some ultimatum, Rogers.
Roy, you did make a move for your gun back there before Lefty drew on you, didn't you?
Sure I did.
Roy, what are you up to? I've never seen you start to draw before another man did, and I've never seen another man outdraw you.
I let Lefty do that on purpose. I wanted to find out something.
Well, for heaven's sake, what'd you find out?
Well, for a fellow who's been a baseball player and a doctor for 14 years, Lefty's pretty good with whipping out a pair of 6-shooters. And what he said about while I'm here, I don't think he's Lefty Roberts at all.
What?
Well, my goodness, Roy, why don't we get the sheriff and have him arrested?
Well, we can't do that until we have proof. And Pat and I can't leave here. We need every available man to keep these herds separated and quiet. So, Dale, I guess you'd better leave Buttermilk with Pat and drive Nellie Bell back to town.
If you say so, Roy, but I sure...